Let us see the definition of mean. Mean is the sum of the values of all the observations, divided by the total number of observations. That is, mean equals average of observations. Let x1, x2, x3, and so on, xn, are observations with respective frequencies, f1, f2, f3, and so on, fn. Sum of all the data values of the observations is, as the sum of the product of observation, and its respective frequencies. That is, sum of all the data values of the observations, equals f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus f3 x3 plus, and so on plus fn xn. The product is thus considered because, x1 occurs f1 times, and x2 occurs f2 times, and so on xn occurs fn times. And the number of values of the observations, equals f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus, and so on plus fn. Since frequencies represent the number of times an observation is occurring, therefore mean equals sum of the values of all the observations is divided by total number of observations. X bar equals f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus, and so on plus fn xn, is divided by f1 plus f2 plus, and so on plus fn. Or, x bar equals sigma I equals 1 to n fi into xi, divided by sigma I equals 1 to n fi. Or, x bar equals sigma fi into xi divided by sigma fi. X bar is the set of x values, and sigma represents the Greek letter, which is used to show the sum of the terms, that is, summation. Mean of the grouped data can be found by any of the following three methods: direct method, assumed mean method, and step deviation method. Now let's learn about finding mean using direct method. Direct method. If x1, x2, x3, and so on, xn, are observations and frequencies f1, f2, f3, and so on, fn, are all numerically small numbers, then we consider direct method to calculate the mean of the data. In this method the mean is calculated using the following formula. Mean equals sum of the values of all the observations is divided by total number of observations. Therefore, x bar equals sigma fi xi by sigma fi, where x bar is called mean. Let's see some examples. Consider the group data. Let us see the solution. Here, each class interval has a lower class limit and an upper class limit. For example, consider the class interval 10 to 25. Here 10 is lower class limit, and 25 is upper class limit. Now, for each class interval, we require a midpoint, which would serve as the representative of whole class. We find the midpoint of a class, or its class mark, by finding the average of its upper and lower limits. Here, this midpoint is referred to as class mark. That is, class mark is given by the formula, lower class limit plus upper class limit, is divided by 2. Now, consider the class interval 10 to 25. Here lower class limit is 10 and upper class limit is 25. For the class interval 10 to 25 the class mark equals 10 plus 25 is divided by 2. This is equal to 35 is divided by 2. This is equal to 17.5. Similarly, we can find the class marks for remaining class intervals as follows. Consider next class interval from the table, that is 25 to 40. Here, lower class limit is 25 and upper class limit is 40. For the class interval 25 to 40, the class mark equals 25 plus 40 is divided by 2. This is equal to 65 by 2. This is equal to 32.5. Consider next class interval from the table, that is 40 to 55. Here, lower class limit is 40 and upper class limit is 55. For the class interval 40 to 55, the class mark equals 40 plus 55 is divided by 2. This is equal to 95 by 2. This is equal to 47.5. Consider next class interval from the table, that is 55 to 70. Here, lower class limit is 55 and upper class limit is 70. For the class interval 55 to 70, the class mark equals 55 plus 70 is divided by 2. This is equal to 125 is divided by 2. This is equal to 62.5. Consider next class interval from the table, that is 70 to 85. Here, lower class limit is 70 and upper class limit is 85. For the class interval 70 to 85, the class mark equals 70 plus 85 is divided by 2. This is equal to 155 by 2. This is equal to 77.5. Consider next class interval from the table, that is 85 to 100. Here, lower class limit is 85 and upper class limit is 100. For the class interval 85 to 100, the class mark equals 85 plus 100 is divided by 2. This is equal to 185 by 2. This is equal to 92.5.